Good morning and welcome to the Monday 12th of April Smart Financial Planning Review of the Weekend Papers. A few things have caught my attention, but nothing more than my continuing irritation with last week's news. Last week's news, of course, was that Gordon Brown and the government of the day believe that the business leaders don't know what they're talking about, that they've been misled. Some might suggest that he is suggesting that they're stupid and that they don't understand the impact of this 1% national insurance rise on employers' national insurance. For me, it's the worst suggestion I've ever heard of. How can we be in a situation where we know that we need to generate more money as an economy to pay off our debts and make it more difficult for us to do that? What we need is this country for every single small business to think it's a good idea to take on one more person, and every decent sized business to think it's a good idea to take on a few more people. If we put businesses in a situation where their national insurance costs have gone up already, then the capacity that they had to spend the money to employ the staff that we need to generate the growth to grow our way out of this problem has been spent. And it's been spent by the government. So I did a written blog this week, not something I do very often, but I was so sufficiently hacked off with this that I laid out a very, very simple set of options. Do you want £6 billion in the hands of the small and large businesses in the UK and expect them to drive us out of the recession that we've been in and generate the growth and pay the taxes that we need to pay down all this debt? Or do you want the government to have the money? And I absolutely and totally refute Gordon Brown's suggestion that the tax cut not happening, or the tax cut if you like, is taking £6 billion out of the economy. It's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard. It's putting £6 billion in the hands of businesses to generate growth as opposed to in the hands of the government. That's not taking money out of the economy, that's leaving it in the people who create jobs and create growth rather than placing it in the hands of the government. I just think it's absolute insanity. And in this week's papers there's a very good example of the implications of that rise in national insurance amongst the general relatively high burden of taxation that companies and individuals are facing. Ineos, the massive chemicals company, have announced that they're going to be relocating their business from the UK to Switzerland, that all their most senior people are going to become domiciled in Switzerland, and therefore the UK government is not going to be able to get any tax whatsoever on the money that these businesses make. So not only are we making it more difficult for businesses to employ staff, which keeps people off job seekers allowance, keeps them off incapacity benefit, keeps them off being dependent on the state. So we're making it more difficult to give people jobs. The infrastructure that's in place is such that massive companies like that are starting to look at it and say, enough's enough guys, we're going to go somewhere else. So again, massive opportunities coming up in the election to redefine the way that we want our taxation. My suggestion, which nobody's proposing, I would actually abolish employers' national insurance entirely. Who ever thought that taxing people for having employees is a decent idea? It's a preposterous idea. So take it away. Obviously the tax needs to come from somewhere, so place it on the employees, place it on the profitability of the businesses, place it somewhere else, but do not place a tax on people, irrespective of whether they make a profit or not, purely and simply because they have employees. It's just insanity. Anyway, enough about that. A couple of things just to wrap up with. Michelle's now on maternity leave, so any contact that you would previously have had with Michelle will now be with Terry Hughes, who's our new administrator and in the medium term will become our new training advisor. So any contacts for Michelle now with Terry. His email address is terry@smartfinancialplanning.co.uk. I'm sure you'll get to speak to him soon. That's me for this week. Bye.